Good afternoon. My name is Yukiko Matsunaga, Associate Professor, Institute of Industrial Science, the University of Tokyo. So we are very pleased to have you here. So we'd like to talk about the science and the design. Especially, we'd like to focusing on the collaboration between the Betzalel Design Art Academy and also the University of Tokyo. And also, we divided it into two parts. The first one is more about like design led X, like the design lab. We talk about the design lab. Professor Shunji Yamanaka and also the Professor Miles Pennington, and is going to talk about our activity in the design lab here, the IISU Tokyo. And also, Dr. Romy Mikrinsky, she is going to talk about the project, how the designer can contribute to the society by industrial design in Israel. The second part is more we are excited about talk about the Attune project. The Attune project is a healthcare design project between designers and the researchers. So we have a limited time, so we'd like to start. So the Professor Shunji Yamanaka, yeah, please.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, first of all, I would like to say how honored I am. And today I would like to... Yeah? Okay. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce some of my research projects, which are at the pilot project of the design methods activity. I'm not design engineer or product design. Sorry, the user line. It's too. Maybe. Yeah. So I designed so many projects such as transportations, compact cameras, wristwatches, furniture, electronic devices, and or education tools. Unfortunately, some of them had technical type of Japanese design approach and some prestigious award in African countries. Also, I have continually designed and developed the prototypes with scientists or researchers. Honorably, some of them are selected as permanent collection of the famous museums such as New York MoMA or Art Center. My work is not only styling of product but also engineering design on user experience. You can see the wireless gates in almost every railway station in Japan. I designed it format and the basic shape through prototyping and usability tests at the end of last century. And so that we could start this system from 2001 at the first huge introduction in the world. Now, almost 70 million people are using ticket gate. So it's the most famous one of the most famous one. I became a professor at the Institute of Industrial Science here almost 6 years ago. And this is the design lab buildings, and I have a lab and a gallery. There are 100 laboratories and 1,000 researchers in IIS, and the research field of them are extremely wide. architecture, or production technology, and bioengineering. We started the research collaboration project with them. And we have made many prototypes and showing possibility of their leading-edge technologies and exhibited them at that place in these years. These are titled exhibitions. Oh, yeah. These are titles of exhibitions. Okay, good. This is an exhibition illustrating the titanium material. In fact, titanium is not a rare element on the earth, but very expensive metal due to the difficulty of refining. So we made prototypes of dairy products made from titanium for the future when the researcher Toru Okabe would invent new inexpensive refined products. And exhibited some experiment products made by additive manufacturing with needle plastic additive manufacturing research. We made a prototype for study of generative design and growth. Design body is a showing the beautiful process of the leg project. Lamin is a low volume process designed especially for track and field using the topology of the optimization and additive manufacturing. It was developed for Saki Takakawa, who represented Japan in Paralympic Games in London and Rio, maybe in Tokyo. This is a scene of the running test last year. Elegant Cell is a collaboration project of bioengineering researcher. His name is Professor Takeuchi and his researchers are developing a new molding system of living cells and making artificial organs. Students of my laboratory, for example, tried to make living sculpture using the technology. Of course, they are nothing more than human-shaped cell core. However, they maintain vital activity 20 days and always changing postures. I would like to introduce an exhibition prototyping in Tokyo that we held at 3 cities in the world during last year, 1 year. The first prototyping in Tokyo had been held from March to May last year at the Japan House in Sao Paulo. Japan House is the new cultural home of Japan built by the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs for presenting the Japanese art, design, and technology. Now there are 3 cities of the world: Sao Paulo, Los Angeles, and London. In Sao Paulo, 94,000 people visited our city.
2 months. The second was held in Japan House in the center of Hollywood, Los Angeles. Almost 48,000 people visited last summer. You can see 7 pieces of table, thin table. They were designed as a piece of blotting paper illustrating the prototyping process. The last one started last January. 110,000 people visited it. For us, prototyping is not merely an experimental machine. It's a device created to present user experience in advance to share the benefit of new technology. Now, these are prototypes for 3D printing. I would like to especially rate the project Ready to Grow. To include 2 innovations for future. The first is the possibility of all-in-one manufacturing process by additive manufacturing. Machines or robots are usually completed by assembling parts which are manufactured in different ways and from different materials. But these robots are printed just in one piece made from one material using the laser sintering system. After printing, send data. Secondly, the possibility of designing methods based on free-form manufacturing. Through those 3D printers are radically developed skills used for making static objects. Because it can be predicted that additive manufacturing process now is inferior in accuracy. In fact, if we made traditional mechanisms such as gears or bearings or rings, they do not work due to their large surface. So we designed a new 3D-dimensional structure for achievement, lifelike moving beyond accuracy. So this has a soft drive shaft into a soft body. This called the 3D camera. The reason why this structure has never made any existing tooling process not made. Additive manufacturing, sometimes called free-form manufacturing, enables such sophisticated lifelike behavior instead of precise moves. I would like to show you another movie. It's made by the members of RCIIS designer.
デザイナーと科学者は扱う道具や手段こそ異なりますが、一方で自らの専門性を使って周りの世界に対してさまざまな試みを行うという共通点があります。
生産技術研究所では最先端の技術の研究が数多く行われているわけなんですけれども、この技術をどこに生かしていくか、社会の中であるいは人々の生活の中のどこに生かしていくかということを考えることが非常に重要です。そのためにデザイナーの皆さんに来ていただいて、そうしたストーリーであるとかビジョンを作っていくことのために、このデザイナーに来ていただくことが非常に重要というふうに考えます。
When Design Lab started, we started essentially with an empty room, and in the last 2 years we've been evolving techniques and guidelines and processes to help us. And what the Science Time Design project is trying to do now is evolve those and refine those so they're useful for us and for others.
生産技術研究所には120もの研究室があり、それぞれに独自の強みがあります。私たちはトレジャーハンティングという過程を通じてコラボレーションの種を探します。生贄アイデアという私たちの手法を使うと、あえて簡単なアイデアを提案し、科学者に批評してもらうことで隠れた研究の背景や制約を明らかにすることができます。またコラボレーションの始めにデザイナーと科学者が共通理解を得るための道具、トレジャーハンティングツールキットを開発しています。デザインと科学のコラボレーションはいくつかの社会貢献につながります。まず科学技術を産業に応用することでイノベーションが生まれます。既存研究の新たな応用分野を見つけたり、研究成果を人々が使えるスケールへと作り変えたりすることで、これが可能になります。デザインと科学のコラボレーションは科学の進歩にも貢献します。例えば科学研究を支援するためのツールを制作したり、研究の新しい方向性の発見につながったりすることもあります。最後にデザインと科学のコラボレーションによって人々が科学と触れ合う機会を作り出すことにも貢献しています。研究プロジェクトを人々に体験的に理解してもらったり、技術が社会に与えるインパクトについて考えてもらう機会を作り出しています。
In the Design Lab, we're very interested in reaching out to collaborators. So if you're interested in using these techniques and want to join the Science Times Design Network, please get in touch.
When I started treasure hunt here, I was completely alone. But now we get many colleagues for that. I'm very happy. Lastly, I would like to introduce one of the most recent work. This is a model of 3D printed portable window, the Beetle. A few years ago, Kazuya Saito, a researcher of mechanical engineering, had solved the mathematical structure of holding wings of the natural insect. We made this based on his theory. This is exhibited now in the insect exhibition at 2121 design site in Roppongi. Why don't you visit this week? I have just drawn it 3 days ago, but we wish we would make something. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Yamanaka. So we are very lucky to see his recent the product. So like giving birth inside of the product. So so I think you have many questions, but maybe we'd like to take a question at the panel discussion. Thank you very much, and Professor Yamanaka. I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Professor Miles Pennington. So Professor Miles Pennington is doing a very active collaboration with the scientists in the IIS. So let's see his very exciting work, like from lab to the society.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. I would like to pick up from Yamanaka Sensei's story of treasure hunting here at IIS. So he's been here many years and was a real catalyst in creating what we call the DLX Design Lab. So this is a new initiative which is looked after by Yamanaka Sensei and a group of other professors. And its mission is to use design to turn science into deployable innovations. So Yamanaka Sensei kind of invented a technique of treasure hunting, which means exploring the university to find interesting people and interesting projects to create new ideas through design. And we've been trying in the last 2 years to experiment with that technique and to optimize that technique. So we call this Science Times Design. So it's trying to bring these two disciplines together to make more powerful, innovative ideas for society. And I guess today we've discovered that we can work effectively in 3 different ways. One is we bring research out of the labs more towards commercialization, so real product or service ideas. 2, we can show the general public through dissemination more clearly, or to raise the public's curiosity about what kind of research happens here. So that's kind of dissemination. And 3rd, and maybe most interestingly, actually create visionary opportunities for researchers themselves, so they can see the impact of their research might have on society and makes them think in new and exciting ways about their work. And I guess So this is a picture of the design lab. It's an actual physical space embedded in this campus, and we try to bring researchers and designers together to operate as one team to develop new ideas. As you've seen from Yamanaka Sensei, there's a range of different projects coming out of the lab. Maybe I'll just reiterate a couple of those directions I talked about earlier. One here is a project we did with Ikuchi Lab. So the Ikuchi Lab grows neurons outside of the body in the lab to explore how the brain works. And we put together a team of researchers and designers who said, well, if you can grow a neuron, that's the first step towards growing a bio-intelligent control system. So instead of using silicon electronics, you could use biointelligence to run products. This was a design experiment called Aura. It's supposed to be a health meter of the future that would run from a biointelligent system and would be able to tell you, a human, what kind of health your body is in from the chemical signals that you give off. You saw a glimpse of Omni previously. Omni is a very low-cost ocean sensing system. So if Aura, biointelligence, is many decades away, this is a very real here and now project. So this is about giving people, everybody from high school kids to researchers at university, a low-cost way of gathering data from the sea. And maybe finally, there's a new project that we haven't shown to too many people. This is a collaboration with Minami Lab and BJ Kim Lab. Minami Lab makes very low-cost printable sensors that can sense some quite complex chemicals. And BJ Kim Lab does very interesting stick-on injection pads. So they're very, very small little needles made out of a dissolvable polymer that you can put on as a patch. It will infuse certain chemicals or medicines into your skin and then dissolve away. So I'd like to finish by showing you our latest project, which is called Hyoki, which is a new concept for wearable health technology.
皮膚、それは私たちの体を覆う柔らかな細胞であり、そして外の世界に触れる最初の接点です。表皮は センサを搭載した衣服で内側の世界と接する第二の皮膚となります。この衣服があなたのウェルビーイングに合わせたさまざまなセンサーを装着するハブとして作用します。東京大学で開発中の先端技術によってフレキシブルな生体センサーを使い、体の中の栄養値、ビタミン値、ホルモン値などの情報をモニタリングすることが可能になります。これによって体のケアの手助けをすることができます。南研究室ではコースを検知することのできるフレキシブル生体センサーを開発しています。フレキシブルなポリマーに印刷された回路によって体の状態の指標として知られる乳酸などの酵素が検知できます。近研究室ではグルコースを継続的にモニタリングできる新しいマイクロニードルパッチを開発しています。全く痛みを感じさせることなく皮膚を貫通できるため、他の成分の検出にも使うことができます。また、針が多孔質であるため、皮膚の下の体液を抽出することができます。表皮は生体情報のモニタリングが可能なセンシング技術を統合し、オンラインプラットフォームでは着ている人のウェルビーイングにさまざまな角度からアプローチすることができます。体の動きとニーズに合わせてデザインされた衣服、それが表皮です。
So our mission at Design Lab is to bring a kind of multinational culture inside of the university, to bring different design thinking methods, to collaborate with science, engineering and technology researchers. So part of our goal is to create an international network in order so we can inspire and inform ourselves of new methods and new approaches to design. And when we started DLX, it began with a collaboration with the London University, the Royal College of Art, and now we have added the second collaborative partner, Bezalel Institute of Arts and Design from Jerusalem. So we're really excited about learning new techniques and bringing new research methods to the campus here at Comaba. I hope that you will one day get a chance to come and visit. We're a very open door policy, just based in a building next door, and I hope we can get to know you and you can see more of our work in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Pennington. So next speaker is Professor Dr. Romy Mikrinsky. She is the head of the Master of Design program in the Industrial Design Literary Academy of Art and Design. So she's going to mainly talk about the project, like working in Bezalel, and it'll be nice to see the presentation.
Thank you. Working? Thank you, Matsunaga-sensei. Thank you, Yugi-san. So, hello everyone. Thank you for arriving here. I'm Romy Mikrinsky, and I am happy, honored, and humbled to be here and to present after these two very impressive presentations. And first, I'd like also to thank Ariel Zen from the Israeli Embassy that is here, and we will, in a minute or two, hear more about the collaboration with the IIS and specifically with Matsunaga Lab, but I'm going to present several projects from Bezalel that are dedicated to collaboration with scientists. But first, I would like to present a bit about the history of Bezalel and to explain somewhat about the complexity and maybe even the geography of where we are.
I'd like to introduce Yuri Krebanov. So he graduated from the Bezalel and moved to the Royal College of Art, like London, and he got the master's degree. And 3 years ago, he moved to IIS with Professor Pennington, right? So you can show me, show us the quick and dirty way, and how you like the experience in the world. Yeah. So please.
Okay, thank you for introduction, Mustafa-sensei. Yeah, so my name is Yuri. I'm a researcher here at the Institute of Industrial Science at the DLX Design, which Miles Sensei presented earlier. I'm currently working on multiple projects which involve collaboration between science, design, and also Israel and Japan. And in this presentation, I would like to take you maybe through a more personal story of myself to show you how I ended up here. Because if you would have asked me 5 years ago, where do you see yourself? I would never imagine standing on this stage telling you this story. So I'm a little bit nervous because it's a bit personal story, but I hope it's going to be interesting for you guys. So I was born in Russia, you can tell by the name. In '93, when I was 8 years old, my family moved to Israel. So I grew up there. And after doing my undergraduate studies in Bezalel, I moved to London to do a bit more studies. And then I came to Tokyo, so I'm here right now. So in high school, I was actually before I even went to design, in high school I was mostly learning computers and physics. But then I was always focusing on kind of the interface part of any project I was doing. So I decided to go to Bezalel, where I studied interaction design, and I did projects like this. So I was really curious about how people interact with technology. This is one of my projects where I basically created a virtual waterfall, but you can interact with it, and even though you're standing in front of a screen, you really feel like you're underwater. It was very immersive, interesting. So this is during my studies in Bezalel. After I finished my studies, I went to work for a startup in Israel, which was doing interactive videos. Back then it was 2011. YouTube was already up and running, but not many people were doing creative videos. They were still very flat, so it was kind of innovative to make interactive videos which you can, as the video plays, you can interact with and change what's happening in the video. So this was very interesting and very challenging for me. But all those interactions that were happening, all the projects I was doing are very screen-based. So this was kind of trying to reach into the screen, but it still was very flat. And I was very curious about doing things in more 3D, more in the real world. So I was at daytime I was working at the company, but in the evening I started visiting the hackspace. So in Tel Aviv, there's a really nice hackspace called Tel Aviv Makers International. So after work, I was just going there and doing projects. And one of the projects I ended up doing was actually to do with hummus. So, one second, where do we go next? One second, sorry. Restart that. Okay. So Israel, you probably know, one of the favorite foods in Israel is hummus, and hummus is a very important topic. So previously you heard some lectures about Iran and politics and security. Hummus is taking not even more important, I think, in Israel, like debates in Israel than Iran or politics. So it's a very important food, and I decided one day to actually tackle with this problem and say, okay, one of the important debates about hummus is how you eat it. Do you wipe it with a bread? Do you use a fork or what? So I thought, why don't we have machines that wipe the hummus for us? So together with another friend from the industrial design department, we made a machine that takes a piece of bread, slices them, then there's takes the piece of bread and tries to wipe it for you. In the process, process splashes some hummus over the users, very human-centered. All right, you got the idea. And yeah, next morning I ended up on the news with this very flattering title saying inventions that are not going to change the world. Yeah, that was exciting. But that made me realize that I'm really passionate about doing physical things, not only doing on-screen interactions. And I decided to go to do it full-time. So I quit my job and went to London to do masters at the Royal College of Art and Imperial College London under Professor Miles. He was the head of program back then. And I spent very intense 2 years doing things. So the degree in the RCA is very hands-on. You don't spend too much time in a lecture room or with your computer. You just do things with your hands. So you start from taking apart electronics to start building your own, making chairs, wearables, coming up with all kind of weird devices. And after the RCA, I went to work for another studio which do installations again, and we built a shop for Google in New York. But then I was trying to apply to, so I was on my student visa there, and I had to upgrade to a working visa to stay in the UK. And the UK say, hey, sorry, we're doing Brexit, you can't stay. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? So I went to talk to Miles and said, hey, Miles, they're kicking me out. Do you have anything interesting I can do away from the UK? And said, I want to go to Japan. So I said, all right. So Miles sent us here. We got a budget for 2 months to come to Tokyo, and basically to the IIS. And we got a budget for 2 months to run an experiment to see if designers can come and work with scientists. So we had 2 months to prove that we can do something very interesting as the designers working in a very science-oriented facility. So this is the lab Yamanaka-sensei showed you. When we came here, we got this empty room, and we got a lot of trust in what we do, which was amazing. And we started treasure hunting. So we first talked to Yamanaka-sensei, who was the only designer when we came here. And this was his dream to bring more designers. So I always say that we live inside Yamanaka-sensei's dream. And he told us that he's a treasure hunter. When he goes and talks to all those labs around him, he feels like a treasure hunter. So we call our process treasure hunting, and we still call it that. This was the team. It was 5 of us from London that graduated the Royal College of Art, 5 designers, joined by 5 researchers from here. And we went to see different labs. Went to see a lab that does energy harvesting. We went to see a lab that does nanoparticles that change color depending on different light frequencies that you shine in them. Went to see labs that do augmented reality, self-driving cars, that control robots remotely to send them into places like Fukushima to clean up the area. We saw labs like Miles showed you that grow neurons outside the human body, and labs that do computer vision. So one project, and remember, this was all within 2 months' time. We had to kind of explore, find out all this amazing facility has to offer, but also we had to do some projects to make some outputs to show everyone else that, okay, we saw all that science has to offer, what's next? How can we now make it better? So one of the first projects we did was with a lab that does computer vision, a professor named Yuichi Sato. He uses computer vision to analyze human behavior, anything from your eye gaze to your body language. And we used the output, the classic output of his lab is an algorithm. It looks at you and outputs all those vectors and numbers. And we thought, okay, how is this going to be useful in everyday life for normal people outside of the lab? So we came up with this project. How are we with time? Is it okay to show a bit? Okay, so maybe I'll just jump to the next slide. So we basically made this, we used this algorithm and attached them to everyday devices like a fan or a light or a speaker, and made those devices interactive. So usually when you go into a house and you have a smart house these days, you need an app or a remote control, and we basically enable those objects to be manipulate it using your own body, so removing the need for a third-party controller. So yeah, we're running out of time. So there are more projects. If you're curious about them, you can come later. We have an exhibition room right next door. I'll be glad to show you around. But I want to finish with this project that we recently started. It's called Project Attune. I'll show you a short video. And basically, this project is what makes this. We basically started this project as the starting point, as a test for the collaboration between Bezalel and the University of Tokyo. And let me play a short video. And then I'll head over to Matsunaga-sensei.
You will now hear a short tune. This tune is unique to you. It is a musical interpretation of the physical examination you went through, and a reflection of your state of health. Please attune your attention to the following sounds.
So the Attune project is something that grew up from the treasure hunting process we run here at DLX Design Lab. We're looking for some interesting research topics, professors who like to be engaged to take their research to new directions. I think for us, Matsunaga-sensei research was a very natural design project candidate.
So recently we found the microcapillary. The structure, it can be an indicator of your health. There is a correlation between healthy lifestyle and capillary structure. So a healthy capillary is longer and very straight, beautiful, and also high density. But unhealthy capillary, they have the twisted structure and the shorter. I really need more data, and that's why I started talking with Yuri. He gave me a chance to talk about my research in front of the designers.
So we decided to reach out to Bezalel Academy. Israel is very famous for being very startup oriented, so this was a very exciting perspective as well.
We were very excited when Yuri called us and proposed that we will do a treasure hunting workshop with 4 different labs at the University of Tokyo. Professor Matsunaga Labs was one of them. We had all kinds of brainstorming sessions for science and design to collaborate, and we tried to come up with different ideas about how the different labs could enjoy the input of designers. The second workshop took place in Jerusalem.
The idea behind the workshop was to get Matsunaga-sensei's lab to Bezalel and try to see if there can be a new idea regarding what they're doing with the lab. We did a marathon of brainstorming until we got to a few basic ideas, and then we developed a small demo. The seed of Attune was one of the projects.
This team has developed a new system. This transforms the capillary images which are captured by the microscope, and we turn them into musical tunes, essentially a music of your own personal health status.
After the workshop, we had an opportunity to test it in open campus in Tokyo. So we started developing a basic prototype that will allow us to present a concept of a tune. The finger was scanned with a microscope. Then there was this computer vision algorithm that allowed us to see what's the length and width of the capillary. And then this data was transformed to the audio station.
At the open campus, we got more than 300 people's data. And now we are working on analyzing the data to see the relationship between the healthy lifestyle and the capillary structure.
I think that it began, they thought that it would be a sort of a gimmick, but when they put the headphones on and the music started, they stopped moving and started listening to the music, and I think it was very intriguing. Maybe they tried to understand what's going on.
By collaboration with designers, it was very easy to correct the data and also people to participate in my research.
This is only the beginning of this collaboration. It brings a big promise for both design, science, and medicine, and it will change the way we experience medicine. So this is a good example of how designers bring in their input to materialize a scientist's vision, and I think there are very exciting avenues ahead of us.
Okay, so yes, thank you very much, everybody. I'll hand over to Matsunaga-sensei. And one more thing, tomorrow we're going to actually run a workshop where we're trying to find new projects of collaboration with design and science. So if somebody wants to join, you're more than welcome. It's going to be an exciting day tomorrow. So please. Oh, yours is a PowerPoint.
Okay, thank you very much, Yuri. So, yeah, maybe I'm gonna use my computer.
Is it better on yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, is it?
Yeah. So the better came one. So I am a bioengineer, who is working on doing the research about the blood vessels, in your body. So so as you know, the capillary blood vessel is they have three very important roles. The one is supplying nutrients and collecting waste, and also controlling the body temperature and delivering immune cells. So that's why the capillary blood vessels, the flowing, the blood is very important, crucial for the health. So if you lost these blood vessels, you will have a wrinkle and also dementia and also periodontal disease, many diseases. So this is the diagram of the capillary structures. The capillary we call here is a very small diameter of the blood vessels. So it's, I think, 10 micrometers. So usually the capillary is consisting of endothelial cells, and the pericyte is supporting endothelial cells in your capillaries. So when you get the aging and also bad lifestyle habits, so you drink a lot, smoking, that kind of the bad lifestyle habits. So these pericyte is detaching from the capillaries. So it makes unstable the capillary structures. So we hypothesized maybe the change of the structure can be a health biomarker for your health. So the picture shows are the capillaries inside the body of the mouse. So the left panel shows the healthy blood vessels, capillaries. So the green one is the endothelial cells. The red one is the pericyte, the supporting cells. The supporting cells is attaching to the green cells and the supporting structures. But the unhealthy structure on your right panels, it's actually, we get this one, the researchers get this picture from the tumor, the cancer tissues. So the red cells is not attaching to the endothelial cells anymore, and it seems there is a deformation like compared to the healthy blood vessels. So we really want to see capillary blood vessels by using a simple microscope. So actually the simple microscope allows you to check your capillaries non-invasively. And there is a point, a place you can check non-invasively. And so we call the capillary nail fold capillary. So just above your nail, so there is called the lateral nail fold. The skin is very thin, so that's why it's easy to check the blood flow and also capillary under the microscope. So let's see a structure of a normal and also abnormal one. So the above one is so it's a beautiful structure, the model structure of your capillaries. It's long and straight and also older, but somehow sometimes like twisted and also larger diameter or low density and no more blood flow can be seen. So actually this is my capillaries, so you can see I am alive. So okay. So actually we got so we invited maybe 2 years ago. We invited the Tai Chi instructor from the Medical Tai Chi Association. So it was October 2017. So you know why I invited the Tai Chi, the people? Because the Tai Chi accelerates your blood flow, so it might be healthy, right? So after the exercise, all the lab members that checked their own capillaries. Do you see my capillaries? It's, I think it was beautiful, but the Tai Chi instructors said you can see so many high density of the capillaries and the long. So usually like people want to compare to the other people, right? So that's my motivation to work on capillary research, the human capillary research. I want to be more like the beautiful capillary. So this is a motivation. Capillary can be an indicator for your health. So as you know, the most of the major disease it's coming from the bad lifestyle habit. Drinking, smoking, fatty food, sleeping, no sleeping, exercise, maybe less exercise. So it would be nice to have some like correlation between the bad lifestyle habit and also capillary patterns. So that's why we carried out one simple research in Open Campus 2018, it was the spring. So we asked people, the participants, to join our study. So we asked them to answer for the question, what's your quality of sleep, hard exercise, fatty food, and also drinking and smoking. Then we collected maybe 224 people's capillary data, the pictures, and my students measured the width, distance, and 4 parameters of the capillaries. So I'd like to share the 2 findings from this simple research. So the data from 220 people participants. So the low quality of sleep and also intensive exercise and smoking there is a correlation between the affect the width of the capillaries. And also, especially for women, that drinking makes your capillary length shorter. And also another follow-up study for individual persons. So actually we collected 20 people's data. So we take a picture, then we give them, this is a good lifestyle habit. So sleep well, taking a bath or something. Then after 1 week, so we get the picture from the same person's capillary data. So this is an example of female 50 years old person. So you can see so her capillary structure is very roughy, and also, but 1 week later, you can see the capillary is very straight, and it looks like getting more like beautiful. So she said she changed her behavior, taking a bath for a longer time to accelerate more like the blood flow, and also taking red wine. She didn't stop at drinking alcohol, but taking more like antioxidative, like a product. It's red wine. So based on this, our findings, so we are so excited about maybe the fingernail capillary structure can be your health biomarkers. So that's why we wanted to get more data in a daily life. That's why, because we have a designer here, so I learned the designer can solve the problem, in the society. So that's why I talked with Yuri, and Yuri organized a workshop in Jerusalem, February 2019. So at the Jerusalem, as a scientist, I enhanced the importance of the capillary research, and also trying to increase the designer's curiosity, about the drug capillary research. And also, I talked about more issues. So I need a collection of we need to collect the massive capillary data in the daily life. So actually, we get so many interesting ideas, and so Earl, he is going to talk about maybe after that. So he and also Yuri is a project manager, and he picked up one project, Attune. The Attune is translating your capillary data into the music. So it was very nice to see how the designers quickly make a prototype within only 3 months. And we did the performance at another next year Open Campus 2019. So actually we succeeded in collecting 350 people's data at the Open Campus. So the Mr. Yerfred is going to talk about he's talking about more the importance of music and your health monitoring check system. Thank you.
Thank you, Matsunaga Sensei. Good evening. I'll be your last speaker for today, so hang on with me just a little while longer. My name is Eyal Fried. I'm a lecturer and researcher from Bezalel, as you understood already, and I'm part of the Attune project team, along with Soet and Itai, also in the audience today. So as you probably understood, Attune is a project the result of a collaboration between Bezalel and the IS, the DLX here, hopefully just the first of many. It's about 8 months old, so it's still a fetus in many ways, and it's a work in progress on all fronts. And what I'm going to show you, talk about rather, So the vision of the project is to create a truly transformational platform that will help us monitor our own health and perhaps make better health decisions. And the way we believe to go about it is with music, and in the next few short minutes I'm going to try to show you why. So let's try this. not yet anyway, but I can guarantee, first of all, that you all understood that this is music. That there's pattern here, there's behavior, there's melody, there's harmony. For some reason, we all have the ability to understand that. And secondly, I can probably guarantee as well that we all felt something, be that excitement, anxiety, happiness, sadness, whatever the case. Maybe, I've touched it before, and some people said that they actually felt almost physical pain when I cut the music kind of in the middle. Second movement from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. So music is the universal language. We all have the ability, we have the cognitive mechanism and the affective, the emotional mechanism to understand it, and it does something to us. So it's a useful tool already that kind of connects us all. Another interesting thing about music, as opposed to, for example, visual information, is that it's temporal. It lives along a timeline. So if we face it with an image, with a picture, we kind of receive all the entire kind of spectrum of information at the same time. But music kind of evolves over time, be that a few seconds or a few minutes. And another thing is that it's multimodal in the sense that we perceive sound, but it enables us to activate other regions of the brain, and it enables us to make associations, to bring up memories, to imagine things, which in many ways makes it a useful tool to both analyze and gather information. And as we all probably know, music is contextual in the sense that we can listen to the same musical piece and feel differently about it if we listen to it at 8 a.m. in the morning or 8 p.m. in the evening, if it's autumn or winter or summer, or if you're in a good mood or bad mood. So for some reason, the same musical, the same information is perceived differently, we feel differently about it in different time. Again, it makes it a very useful tool to analyze information. And then lastly, there are probably, the number you see is 300 trillion options, possibilities. So people much smarter than I am calculated that about that number of possible combinations of musical notes. So there's enough for everyone to make their own music and kind of to perceive their own version of what music or musical piece is. So how that relates to Matsunaga Sensei's beautiful research? Well, let's see. Blood tests. Blood tests are the most common medical procedure in the world. These are just numbers to give you a general idea. What's interesting also is actually that 2/3 of medical decisions are based on some kind of analysis of a blood test, which makes it probably the most important procedure, medical procedure we can go through. And this is the market. It's a big deal. And we're trying to kind of make an impact in that field. And so here comes the tune. You've seen it already, so I'm going to skip that. So what we're trying to develop is a system that will enable us to do something in our own privacy at home, to make it something that we enjoy, and to make it something that we can repeat. So make or create our own test and examine ourselves in a repetitive manner, either every day, every week, etc. And to us, at least, music is a very useful answer. So as you've seen, we started thinking about this project about 8 months ago in a workshop in Jerusalem. At the end of May, we came here as part of the Open Campus Day, and we created what basically is an exhibition, if you will, but indeed it is a scientific experiment, which enabled us to collect data from about 350 people in 2 days, which is quite significant. So what we did was, as part of this process, we created our own software which analyzes the data, the visual data from the exam, from the test that is performed under the microscope. Something that we're working on still and improving continuously. I'm not going to go into the details, but this is just to highlight the important kind of data points or the important visual focus that is then being analyzed by the system, by the algorithm. And then, this is kind of the innovative transformational part. We transform the visual data into music. And as was mentioned before, each individual receives their own personalized musical piece that reflects their own health. These so-called speakers were designed by Dai. And again, this is a detail, but it's important because it's all part of the experience, the overall experience that we're trying to create. And so these are all the people involved, and I'm going to end with this little story. And so, 30 more seconds. So last week I was in Sweden, and I happened to come across this little town in northern Sweden. And it was a weekend, there was a market fair there. I met this lady, this girl, her name is Lisa. She's dressed as Randolph the Clown, as she explained to me. So Lisa is both autistic and epileptic. And she's there every weekend collecting funds, raising funds for a foundation she started herself with her own family for people with autism and epilepsy. And we had this very nice, engaging conversation. As part of the conversation, she asked me where I was going next, and I told her I was coming here. Why are you coming there? Why are you going to Tokyo? And I said why. And then she asked me a little bit about the project, and I explained to her a little bit about the project, and then she said, I want to be first. So with that, I'll end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Iyo. So we are running out of time. So please, speakers, please come to the stage and.
Okay, so we'll have a short panel now dealing with design and science. And my first question goes to Miles, actually, but then Yamanaka Sensei can join us too. It has to do with design and scientist collaborations. What do you think designers should be worried about or take special heed before starting a collaboration? And then again, what should scientists be worried about before they jump into collaboration with designers?
Usually, designer contributes to the application of the scientific research. So something the scientist find something, and then after designers always thinking about the application. But we always thinking about to contribute scientific research into that. So not only applications, or in the way of the research project, scientists are always thinking about the what application work. But that's a thinking way is shrink. As a result, shrink to the possibility of the scientific research. So we would like to inspire them. So always, and as a result, we are subject to the research. They find another, but then alternative way or another value or another application of their research. That is our contribution. So that is very important point.
Miles, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've discovered from both parties, the point to take care of is about talking the same language in terms of scientists and designers come from completely different disciplines, and there's there's a gap between those disciplines, and both sides want to join, both sides want to be careful how to connect, but it's sometimes difficult. And one of the things we learned from Yamanaka Sensei was the idea of the sacrificial idea, so that actually sometimes it's very difficult to communicate across that gap. So the best way is to propose things, so both from the science side and from the design side, to put ideas on the table, either drawings or words or discussions that you can talk around, and that helps to bring both sides together. So I think from the things that designers and scientists most need to be careful of is that linguistic gap, that cultural gap. But there are methods and approaches to basically build across that gap. And that's, I think, one of the things that's really fascinating about working here in the design lab is figuring out how to do that.
One thing I'll add is our relationship with failure. So one thing I'll add is that we like failure. We designers like failure. We embrace failure. We use it. We feed off of it. Scientists, more often than not, are either afraid of failure or the cost is just too high. It costs them their job, their tenure, an article not being published, etc. Designers, artists, etc. Use failure as an opportunity to keep thinking, to develop, to change, to evolve. And this is something I think we add to the scientific process.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'm addressing my next question to you, Matsunaga Sensei, and moving on from the mental gap, actually we can talk about the cultural differences. How is it like to work with an Israeli-dominated team? Can you elaborate?
How it's working with Israel-dominated team is actually I have good impression. So they are very, I think, very like I would say high speed. So sometimes I cannot, come with them, and also very energetic, and what else? And yeah, super fast. Yeah, and anything else? Yuri. Yeah, you have experience in UK, Israel, Japan.
No, I think for me it's a very interesting challenge to try always to find balance. So as part of the collaboration started, I had the opportunity to go Japan and Israel a couple of times, and it's always a bit confusing where I'm at because I adjust myself. But I think as time goes by, you find those balances. It's actually really interesting. Like you get really inspired by getting input from both sides, and this actually allows you to tackle any project, or this project specifically, from many different perspectives, and it changes along the way. There are many changes, and there are many failures, there are many successes, and I think that's what makes it exciting. It's constantly changing, and you're always getting feedback from both ends. You get the Japanese culture and kind of the cleanliness, the patience, and then suddenly you get all the pushings from the Israeli side of making it develop. So I think that's what makes it exciting, actually. This combination.
Thank you. I will actually open the floor for questions from the room. If anyone wants to comment or ask something, all of the speakers are here, and we welcome your questions and comments. And since no one is jumping, maybe I will ask this distinguished forum, maybe you would like to say something or comment something before we go to the second room for drinks. Maybe someone wants to add anything. No?
I'll add one thing, maybe. Just one short thing. I'll just reverse the question and I'll ask, you know, what us Israelis, what's our experience working with Japanese friends and partners. And for me, I mean, it's almost standard to say that the Japanese aesthetic approach to life, to work, is maybe the most prominent thing, which of course is true, and it shows everywhere, you know, around us even. And you just see Yamanaka Sensei's brilliant work, and aesthetic just jumps out of the screen. But what I realized personally in the last maybe few days a week is the sense of clarity. So there's something to me personally very clear about the way you think, and then the way you go about executing, as Romy has mentioned in our talk, the thought process and the planning. And clarity in thought and clarity in execution is something that I'm learning from.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm much impressed by Atom project, in fact, Dr. Matsunaga finds a relationship of the capillary and capillary and health. And usual application of that is a medical indication. Yeah, so for example, doctor can catch some healthy situation from the capillary bottom. But in this project, they open the door to communicate with usual people and his own capital. That is very important for not medical aspect, but people communicate with his body. As a result, this project opens the door for the new research direction. That is like a contribution. Just I said design contribution. Just I did for research project.
Okay, so on that optimistic note, I wish to thank the panel and Professor Matsunaga for organizing, and also Professor Kenichi and Nancy. Thank you all, as well as the Embassy of Israel, and to give a big round of applause. And thank you, the audience, as well. Thank you.
皆様お疲れ様でした。5時半から外出たところで、ネットワーキングがございますので、ぜひ皆様お立ち寄りください。今日はどうもありがとうございました。
Thank you.